for A side, I would tend to expect them to go for most likely Celeste, uh, maybe something else of that sort. Uh, we'll have to see as we go on.
Yeah, definitely going to be a very interesting draft coming out here. Looks like we might be having a few technical difficulties, but we'll get those sorted out here shortly. Definitely looking forward to seeing what these comps are going to bring out. Might be, seeing that Kroll might be a possible ban because Kroll, a really strong jungler in the 5v5 meta, being able to go around the map very quickly because of his heroic perk, being able to go up every second gets him the quick mobility he needs and gets it up so often, making him very versatile in going throughout that jungle, getting ganks in all three of the lanes, and just helping get those detrimental fights and ganks and pushes that they need in those fights.
Yeah, the Shadows Empower Me perk is definitely a really big part, but even more important to his kit is that sustain he has. He's able to 1v1 anyone in the game. That really allows him to go head to head with any opposing jungler that he's up against, and he's able to be tanky in those team fights, soak up a lot of damage for his carries in the front line, so that they can be in the back doing damage, which I think is part of what makes him so strong right now. Among other things, Tony's strong right now. We see Rona strong right now. She's picked and banned a lot. Alpha. Um, as far as captains go, the most popular ones right now is going to be your Ardent, being able to anti-dive these kind of people, and dive and tankiness are pretty relevant right now, which definitely makes Ardent pretty strong. Grace, we don't see as much of, but she's another one of those anti-dive heroes that I think has a lot of potential in these fights.
Yeah, Grace has a lot of potential. Being able to get in there with that benediction, putting up the holy shield for her entire team gives a lot of that backline defense that you need. As well as being able to have that divine intervention to pull out those heals. And once you get that echo, having that up twice can just give you so much sustain for your team. That might be that little bit of edge you need in those fights.
Yeah, definitely that Grace heal is a big deal coming out from her. Oh my, it looks like we are having quite a few draft issues here. I am not sure what's going on. We'll try to figure it out as of now. Alright, I'm not entirely sure what's happening now. Almost the entire side of the entire B side just left the party. Try to keep you guys updated on what's going on right now. Alright guys, we're back and draft appears to be working.
Yeah, finally being able to have that draft come up. We do see following the Taka band, we got the Curl band going on from KawaiiAnimeGirls. Definitely a typical band going off, like we said, because of his mobility. It's really strong. But we see the Fortress Rona pickup for Miku and the Celeste Kestrel for Kawaii. Really strong combos there on both sides. Being able to have that burst poke from both Celeste and Kestrel, but then having the dive burst coming out from Rona and Fortress can be really good both sides depending on how they're played.
Yeah, Fortress has definitely been, a really reliable pick right now. Just his ability to dive onto those squishy heroes that a lot of people have been trouble controlling, especially that Kestrel right now. Definitely lends an advantage to their team. Arden an interesting ban on the B side, honestly. A bit surprising to me, because I feel like they could have used that Arden to their own advantage to kind of counter some of that dive that A side is putting out. We'll see how A side responds now.
Going with the Churnwalker ban, I think is definitely a strong ban there because that would have been a good second pick from that Arden for the side of Kawat for side B. Being able to have those hooks for those dive heroes and then having that trespass to lock them down while they're in that back lines can really counteract that dive a lot. So being able to put that out through the ban is just a really strong pickup for Miku.
Yep, and followed by a quick Grace Lyra. The Grace, I was talking about those anti-dive heroes earlier, and Grace did come up in that conversation, and here she is. She's definitely going to be able to hopefully fend off some of that dive coming from A side, and then followed by a Lyra pickup. That's another one of those strong picks. She'll be able to heal up that tanky front line, keep them alive, and able to keep going back into those fights, which I think is definitely good for them. And followed by a Samuel pick.
Definitely a
Samuel's,
strong hero to pick up.
yeah, absolutely. And that range he has is definitely going to make him important on the back line. They needed someone with that range, to be able to deal with that Celeste in the early to mid game, in that mid lane. Samuel's definitely a good pick to be put into that slot as of now. We and then quickly followed by a Tony on the B side. You know, those one of those tanky, strong frontliners. He's going to be able to use that taunt to kind of distract the dive on this comp away from those two carries that they're trying to protect. And then we have a Reza and a Vox ban, maybe just trying to prevent some things that the enemy could use to kind of round out their composition. We'll see what they choose to put in these last two picks. And on A side, a Glaive, kind of completing that dive onto those two squishy heroes. Hopefully for A side, they're going to be able to kind of get past that front line, and then followed by the Alpha on B side. She's another one of those strong heroes. She's really good into Samuel right now. Um, so definitely strong drafts for both sides. We do see the B side having more, what would be considered power picks right now, but those don't necessarily, correlate to a win in this case, and I think it's gonna be a pretty even game based on these drafts.
Yeah, they have a lot of potential on both sides. I do like the Grace Tony combo being picked up there though. Gives them the great opportunity to knock off the dive in that event, and then having that alpha can just be really strong, really tanky. Having that reboot can just give them so much opportunity to get in those backlines.
Yep, absolutely. One thing to note will be, what we're gonna see from the path of these heroes, and their scaling. Glaive doesn't really scale into late game too well at all. His damage definitely drops off after that mid game stage, where other people are able to kind of pile that damage on. But that Samuel's going to be their main source of late game damage, and they're going to have to find a balance between protecting the Samuel and diving onto the enemy carries. If the Lyra uses her Bright Bulwarks correctly to block Alpha's prime directives, then I think A side will have the ability to win these fights. But if they can't take out either the Kestrel or the Celeste within the first, few seconds of each fight, then they'll most likely lose the fight with both those heroes, raining down damage onto them.
Yeah, definitely going to be, really great points you're putting out there. I can't wait to see what goes on in this match. It's going to be a really fun and exciting match to see this night.
Yeah, we're just trying to get in game here so we can get started. Just waiting on a few more people to try to get into the game here. Alright, looks like we are finally getting into the match there. Sorry about all the difficulties. We should be finally getting into the game, guys. In chat, tell us who you think won draft. Tell us who you think will win team fights. Tell us who you want to win. Get some hype in the chat for the game. We'll see. Alright, we're about to get onto the rise now. Both teams loading in. Finally gonna get onto the fold. Or the rise. Definitely good to be back. Alright. So what do you think of the early game of these two teams?
Oh, they have such good potential. Normally I would give it the early game to side A, having that Fortress Rona, Lyra, and even the Glaive Sam, all really good early game burst damage. But I like the early game from that Grace and Alpha, and then having the taunt from Tony with that backline from the Celeste early game, even though she doesn't have the extended range on her Heliogenesis, can just give so much damage output and control. And I think it's going to be an even matchup, slightly to the favor of side B.
Yeah, we do see a bit of a surprise, at least in my opinion, coming out early game here. We see the Kestrel actually going weapon power, which is a bit of a surprise to me. It's definitely not quite as strong right now. She's not exactly as slippery as Crystal Kestrel is, and I think the double threat comp that CP Celeste and Kestrel might have been a little stronger for B-side right now. Looks like they are looking to contest this Crystal buff, and it does look like B-side is going to give it up here. Looks like the B-side will try to contest A-side's Crystal Treant, but doesn't look like they'll be able to. But all 5 members are converging here.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to try to go after it. They are going to be able to secure it, though, with the Kestrel. As First Blood goes over to side B, picking off that Lyra with a Glimmer Shot, with Alpha getting that last hit, being able to secure that 100 gold. So definitely worth it, I think, giving up that Crystal buff. That first one, being able to get that second one as well as the First Blood will give them a slight advantage, I think.
Yeah, but while they were doing that, the A side was able to take their entire bottom jungle rotation, so they were able to push bot lane, and then they're gonna clear their own jungle, port back, get some items, and get that early game power spike. We do see Tony hiding in this bush mid lane. Doesn't look like anything's gonna come of it. That Lyra just staying there to kind of heal him up.
Yeah, I like them going that weapon Lyra, or not Lyra, weapon Grace, and then going with the roam Tony. Being able to have that burst come out with Grace and diving in on them can just be really strong. And that base damage coming out from Tony, even though he's got an Oak is just really strong in this early game. Just a little bit of back and forth going on from both ends. Grace and Rona down there in the bottom. We have Lyra, Samuel pushing that mid. Celeste going for a bit of that jungle farm as we see the Imperial Sigil comes down to finish off Tony there, giving a nice kill for the side of MikuHatsune. Nice engagement here coming down. Alpha going in with the core charge, getting some nice damage off onto that fortress as we do see Lyra come up. The Imperial Sigil comes down, burst coming down off onto the Alpha. Alpha going into that reboot with Kestrel trying to support, but the afterburn going in front of the Alpha is going to push her back, and that's going to be another kill for the side of Hatsune.
Yeah, A-side definitely kind of putting on the pressure now, showing a little bit better mastery over those rotations than B-side. We, bot lane, they've been able to hold all their lanes and use their rotations effectively to get kills and small gold leads wherever they can. The crystal buffs are back up. We saw the Celeste already get it. Yeah, A-side will be rotating to get it now. Give B-side a bit of a chance to get back onto fair ground with the other team. Alpha rotating in mid lane, maybe looking to push a bit here. As far as gold goes right now, it's fairly even. We only see A-side ahead by about 500 right now, nothing too significant. Not much action going on in the map as of now. Both teams most likely looking to get a few items before they start fighting. Kestrel has not had a chance to shop yet, so she's kind of been stuck in that top lane. She's going to port back now, finally get some items. We are seeing a CP jungle alpha, which I think is a bit of an interesting pick. CP alpha is perhaps a bit better into Samuel than weapon alpha, but I'm not sure if that trade-off is worth going the weapon Kestrel over the CP Kestrel. Do have a little engage going on in mid lane, but with Lyra being able to heal everyone up, we'll go over quickly. Celeste is level 6, so she will have that Solar Storm to use whenever there is a fight.
Yeah, we saw the Rona in the Fortress trying to gank there in the back, waiting for the opportunity, but Tony rotating down is going to be able to notice them and have them back off. They're going in, Tony about half health, Drifting Dart coming out, but it looks like he's going to be able to get away as we see Alpha and Kestrel going into the jungle, taking that health tree and just going to try to push a bit of that jungle for theirs. Rona, though, able to dive in and get the Grace there in that bottom lane. That's going to give them a good opportunity to push this wave here on this turret and possibly get that first turret from the game.
Yeah, this first turret down would definitely be important for them, especially if, the A-side is able to hold the rest of their lanes. Fez on top lane right now, kind of dealing with both sides, with both the Kestrel and the Alpha pushing in, but he's going to be able to hold it. Mid lane's just kind of at a stalemate right now, so if that bot lane does go down, they rotate right to Ghost Wing. Going to be trying to take that. Definitely an important objective on the board right now. We will see Grace looking to contest here. I'm not sure if she'll go in here and risk it. Celeste snipes, just hits that Samuel. Sort of bit by the barrier. Grace is going to go down here as a sacrifice. One thing to note as far as B-side goes is, perhaps we might have expected to see a weapon Tony, a Captain Grace. Instead, it's actually the opposite. We're seeing a Captain Tony in the weapon Grace in the bot lane, which I think is a bit interesting. Again, a bit of a questionable decision on my part, in my opinion. We'll see what they continue to do here, but I think it still has the potential to work out for them. We'll see. We see bot lane pushing in even harder, taking down that Grace. Might try to push into this turret, but they are both low. Tony does a taunt.
One shot, one kill does come out, is going to connect into the fortress, but not going to secure any kills. There goes Samuel coming down, Drifting Dark, Mouse of Verdict, taking some nice damage on that Tony, as we see him trying to push that lane. But here comes Alpha with a crystal and weapon buff. Not quite going to connect the Prime Directive, and Sam's going to get out of there.
Yeah, nearly took him out there. Both teams kind of backing off right now. Celeste getting that poke damage onto that mid turret. Gets it quite low. After Samuel rotates to help his bot laner.
Yeah, no matter what you see, whether it's a weapon or a CP alpha, having that weapon and CP buff both on that alpha is not something you want to see as side A here going out in this game.
Yeah, that slow from that weapon buff is definitely really strong. You know, despite Celeste having that big level 8 power spike just now, she really wasn't able to capitalize it on as 4 members of A-side kind of dive onto her and take down that mid turret. That's definitely a pretty big objective for them right now. Gonna be looking to push in a bit more even. They might
Yeah,
get
looks
the
like they're
second
going
turret.
for the second one. Holy Nova goes off, not quite gonna stun Fortress. Fortress able to get out of there. We do see them holding off the lane. Celeste does come down. Heliogenesis, that extended range, is helping them. And they're gonna back off, not able to secure that turret. But getting it down half health, I think, was a really good push on their part.
Yeah, definitely. Getting 1.5 turrets essentially is definitely a good you know, push for them. One of the things that we haven't seen much action in is top lane. However, you know, we've seen Fez do really well on this glaive,
Nice
considering
engagement.
he's...
Truth of the Tooth comes out on Alpha. Alpha getting taken down low. The Crystal buff does go off to Fortress. Into the Fray comes out, getting him away from the fight. But Alpha landing the Prime Directive, and that AoE is going to land, taking down Rona. Looking to go for Lyra, but Lyra able to dodge with the Arcane Passage. Prime Directive not quite going to connect. There goes the attack of the pack as Lyra is still trying to escape. Prime Directive goes off though. It's going to finish her off as she goes down. Alpha getting the double kill, as well as Glaive coming up, taking out that Tony. We do see a little bit of even trade going on right here, pretty much. Fortress not quite able to secure the kill onto Grace. Grace really low though. There goes Glaive though, taking out the Grace. One shot, one kill comes out. Alpha not quite gonna go down. And there goes Alpha, double kill for Glaive. So we do see the side A coming out on top there in that engagement, but they are able to get that first turret in mid lane for the side of TV.
Yeah, while that all was happening, they also did get the top lane turret. So overall, a pretty good push for them. You know, even though they went pretty even as far as kills and deaths went, they still made a pretty positive push. A-side did get Ghost Wing, which is an important objective for them. As I was saying earlier, you know, the focus on top lane is kind of important, even though there's not much action there. It was important to note how long Glaive was able to hold that turret till after 10 minutes against that Kestrel, when normally you want your bottom laner to take down the enemy turret by, you know, 7 minutes or less most of the time. So it's had an effect on the gold lead of A-side definitely by, you know, just bot lane simply being able to hold that turret. We see Alpha diving onto the glaive here, the Kestrel right here too.
Glimmer shots doing some nice damage. Prime Directive not quite going to connect there from Alpha as he gets away.
Yeah, that afterburn definitely a really strong ability, able to dive on and get away. Over walls and everything.
Lane, you know, Rona being able to dive onto the Grace again, just constantly getting those kills as they're able to take down that second turret in bot. But they're getting a good counter push there on top, trying to push that second turret. Glaive getting really low from those glimmer shots. Kestrel doing a nice chunk of damage here, and it looks like they're going to be able to get that second turret for sure.
Yeah, just not as tight a rotation from the rest of the team there, you know, leaving him alone. I would have liked to see, you know, at least 1 or 2 of the 4 there kind of port home.
Nice reflex block coming out from Rona. Is going to be able to stay on to the Kestrel. Kestrel goes down. Tony using the ult to try to get out of there, but is not going to be safe, as that's going to be a double kill for the side B or side A. Hopefully they can make a advantage off of this.
Yeah, even though they did let that that top lane turret go down, they're still, you know, took the advantage off that with their push and the kills they got. It's we're actually, you know, at a kind of a mirror image of a game right now. The bot lane has 3 turrets for both teams, the mid lane has 2, and the top lane has 1. But that just changed as the A-side was able to finally take down that top turret. Looks like we might be gearing up for a fight here. 5v4, Grace joins. Might have a 5v5 fight here. Samuel healed up before the fight.
Yeah,
Fortress gets
Oblivion does
jumped
go off.
onto.
It's gonna get blocked by the Crucible. Prime Directive goes off, getting into the fight. One shot, one kill, gonna connect onto the, looks like Samuel. Samuel being able to get back though, doing some nice damage. Attack of the Pack comes out. The Wolves coming in for the fight as we see Rona taking the mid turret while they're distracted. Good job. Tony's able to take out the Lyra, and Glaive going down as well, but Rona gonna take out Kestrel. Kestrel going down. Samuel finishing off the Alpha. There goes the Drifting Dark. Mouse of Verdicts doing some nice damage. Grace now goes down. Triple kill from Rona. Celeste, the only one alive. There goes the War Treads going with the end of the fray. Quadra kill coming out from Rona, as well as the ace for side A. MikuHatsune getting the first ace of the game, and might be able to get a nice push here on this mid turret.
Yeah, definitely good on them right there. Let's see what is going on now. Both teams, you know, kind of pushing back and forth here, but we are seeing, you know, as we get later and later the game, actually A-side taking a bit of an advantage. They haven't really given Celeste much of a chance to scale up. She did opt for that Shatter Glass instead of a Dragon's Eye, so she's not really going to have that scaling damage. And we saw that was a long fight last time. Samuel got all the way up to 18 stacks of Dragon's Eye, and he stayed there for like nearly the entire time.
Yeah, that's one of the things about Dragon Eye versus Shatterglass. Shatterglass is good for that early burst, but the longer the fights go on, the more damage you're going to be putting out with that Dragon's Eye, and that just showed in that last fight.
She's gone.
Woo! Just annihilated. The collapse coming out from MikuHatsune there, taking out Grace and Celeste instantly as they just try to chase down the rest of this team, being chased into their own jungle. We see Kestrel trying to survive against this Fortress. Fortress going in, there's a Glimmer Shot, and Kestrel is going to go down as we do see Black Claw just being soloed there by the weapon buff Rona there. So that's going to be Black Claw for side A as Glaive is pushing this mid turret. Last mid turret going down and going straight for the armory.
Yeah, it looks like he will get out of here. One thing to note during that last fight is the really good Bright Bulwark placement by that Lyra. Tony went in for a Bada Boom that would have hit 4 or 5 members and was blocked by that Bulwark, so you know they were unable to kind of disrupt that fight the way they wanted to. Celeste throws out a Solar Storm, nearly hits the Glaive, but he does get away there. Black Claw pushing down mid all the while. They dive back onto that Celeste. She's going to go down again. They might be looking to finish here. B-side doesn't have their main damage dealer up. Continue
There goes
going.
the Attack of the Pack going in. Black Claw going straight onto that Aegis. The rest of the team ignoring side B, going straight for the Aegis. Looks like they're going to be able to bring out this win. Bada Boom is going to hit 5 of them, getting a nice disperse there. As we see Glimmer Shot after Glimmer Shot coming down, Rona goes out, but that's going to be game for MikuHatsune. Nice push there, and that one engagement, getting them that Black Claw, definitely gave them the game there.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, despite a little messiness at the beginning on their side, they finished off really strong. Fairly short game, only went 17 minutes. Blanks on that Rona doing absolute work. Tension Bow, Serpent's Mask, and Breaking Point there. Just kind of devastating the team, able to burst down that Celeste before she could do anything. You know, one of the big turning points was that 4-on-5 fight while Rona was pushing down the mid turret, and that was definitely a bit of a turning point in the game where, you know, Celeste's itemization actually mattered a lot. Not having that Dragon's Eye versus Shatterglass, you know, if she had that Dragon's Eye, she stayed alive till the end, she would have been able to scale up that entire fight and take down the enemy. But, you know, she was stuck with that Shatterglass that fight while Samuel was at 18's Dragon's Eye stack. And that kind of, you know, that item alone possibly sailed the fate of B-side. So definitely some good play by A-side here.
Yeah, it was a really good job by A-side, but, you know, B-side did a really good effort. They had some good kills. had some good engagements. They were getting just as even of a push. And you saw turret wise, the game was pretty even for the first 10 or so minutes. Pretty much mirror, and then just the turnaround by side A to end up getting it in the end was just a good job by MikuHatsune. But really good job by KawaiiAnimeGirls. They all put in a really good game. It was very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Just the rotations and the itemization, actually, that macro game from A side is honestly what I think won them the game. Mostly, definitely. A
Yeah,
a
for sure. Well, we're glad you guys were able to come out and join us. That is going to do it tonight for NACL for this game. Mitsu Hatsune versus KawaiiAnimeGirls. Mitsu coming out on top in this best of one. We hope you guys come out for future NACL matches and subscribe, follow us on Twitch. Just enjoy us for the ride this season, and we hope to see you next time. I'm Blake Nader, joined by the great Yamaz.
Yep.
And we'll see you all later.
All right. See you guys later.